This is the top 3 facts about hemp. This plant has a long history, but we're going to make this video quick. Let's get this straight right off the bat. Hemp is cannabis, but not all cannabis is hemp. Agricultural hemp in the US contains less than 0.3% THC, the compound that causes a high feeling. Some hemp contains a high concentration of CBD, which is a compound that can reduce the psychoactive effects of THC and has numerous potential health benefits. Through bioremediation, hemp can clean the atmosphere and even reverse damage done to soil, air, and water. An average hemp plant can consume 4 times as much CO2 as most trees do, even in its short 12 to 14 week growing cycle. The best part about hemp is that most hemp-derived products are renewable, non-toxic, and biodegradable. Hemp stalks provide great fibers for making composites, but not only can your car be almost made completely from hemp, but it can get you moving too. The original diesel engine was intended to use filtered hemp oil called hempylene. Hemp has powerful antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and antimicrobial properties, making it a scientific wonder. But if that's not amazing enough, hemp seeds contain high levels of vitamins A, B, D, and E, as well as vital minerals, proteins, and fatty acids, making hemp one of Earth's greatest superfoods.
Hello, and welcome to Environmental Coffee House. I have a special guest. Brian is with us, and I see everybody is joining. I see we've got 30 people so far. Hi, Human. Hi, Kim, our moderator, and Hunter, I saw you're here from New Zealand. We've got a worldwide audience. Brian, Vegematic is here from Canada. Jack is here from, where are you, Jack? Jeffrey's here from Oregon. And, oh my gosh, Kim's from Washington. And Gary's from Tennessee. I know everybody. I mean, I've been doing this. Scott, I forget, you're in the Midwest. Minnesota, are you? Rich Diana, you're Minnesota, right? Well, anyway, Jerome, hi, Jerome. Welcome, everybody. I went purple. This time it's like it won't wash out. I got my freak flag flying, guys. I just decided I'm bored. It's winter. Anyway, Brian is awesome. We have had a lot of laughs. He's really cool. I thought after last week, we needed that proverbial breath of fresh air, you know. We really did, and it's great to see you here, hon. It is.
It's great to be here. Thank you so much for asking me.
Yeah. Well, welcome.
It's hysterical when I hear you refer to me as a breath of fresh air, because people that I know in real life actually think that I'm a downer or annoying or something when I tell them about what's going on. So they think that that makes me a downer, and I'm like, that's just going on in real life. You know, you really have no idea. So I appreciate being called positive or a breath of fresh air.
Well, it's good
whatever.
to us, to my crew. Yeah, you are. It'll be great because
I appreciate it.
We're pretty hardcore and we follow the science. And there's a lot of science that's telling us basically we have a lot of problems, Brian. You know, the Arctic is melting, the methane is building, the CO2 is getting, is clouding the air. Australia is burning up. Argentina is so hot right now. But yet there's people like you that are doing things while all the shit's going on. And what's that noise in the background? Do you have a noise in the background?
I heard like almost like a popping sound, like, you know,
yes.
when something's distorting. Like,
yeah, it's
distorting
because you don't have a headset. Well, we'll do the best we can.
Okay.
Brian needs more volume. Okay, I'm giving Brian more volume. Hey guys, Brian does not do a lot of this, and so I'm giving him, the benefit here. I don't know what that noise is on your side. I don't have the echo cancellation, but Brian, you talk and see what's happening. Tell everybody hi.
Doing it when You didn't ask me a question, so you want me just to start talking about anything? Or
Who
doing
the
the
hell
mic
are
check?
you? And how did
I'm
I
very good at
find you?
mic check. Oh, you know what? So I noticed that there's nobody from New Jersey out there, which
Not
doesn't
yet.
surprise me because nobody in New Jersey is paying attention to anything. I am surrounded by people that are concerned with living their best life, right? 2022 is going to be my year and everything, and nobody seems to really understand what's going around. So hopefully we could get some people in New Jersey to wake up. But
Well,
I'm
I
trying.
shared it to a New Jersey group. I did share it to a group in New
You
Jersey.
just share in New Jersey. It is Friday, so I get it.
Don't worry
Right?
about
Maybe
it.
they
Do
have
you
something
have?
to
You
do.
don't have any. You don't have a headset, or like you don't even have earbuds that
Oh, I
plug
do
in.
have not to my iPhone.
Pooh.
So
I
you're on
should
my
have said that.
iPhone. Yeah. Oh, did I just give them a shout out? I should get money for that. Do we get a little something at the bottom? Apple, cha-ching,
All right,
dollars.
welcome, Brian. Yay!
Oh, but Apple is actually one of the better brands as far as smartphones that you can get environmentally, at least. The consensus is that they are.
Hey, they want to know which exit. Which exit?
Which exit?
New Jersey's which exit?
159.
159. There you
159.
go.
Actually, I hope I'm not messing it up because it was like 159P, and then they changed it kind of recently. You know, you get over on the left around like right after Route 3.
Oh gosh, we got Steph with us. She says, "I grew up in Northwest New Jersey where there is no exit."
No exit. Okay, I'm a little bit. I'm like northeast, so really New York City is pretty close.
Okay. Yeah, you're in Pat.
So
I
I'm
know
up
where
in
you
that
are.
area. So that actually is part of my issue. You know, so you referred to me as an activist, and I honestly I put the post up a couple of weeks ago, and I said, you know, these are some of the things that I do. What is it that you guys do? And I was actually very disappointed because I was hoping to be starting a discussion about what we're doing and what works, right? And a lot of people said to me, "Oh wow, you're an inspiration. You do so much." And I was like, "Really?" Because I want to do more. I want to do so much more. You know, so I don't necessarily consider myself an activist. I'm trying to be an activist or find my way in all this. But really, I consider Greta an activist, Vanessa an activist, the 8 million trees guy. If you lock yourself to a tree, you're an activist.
There
right?
you go.
I sign petitions. I might have had a couple lobby meetings. You know what I mean? I do my thing, but I'm not, you know, so I don't know. But I'm really trying to find what it is that we can do. So I'm hoping to hook up with other activists because really, since I've been involved, I started volunteering for any climate organization that I could find. And because I'm really trying to find my place. Like I have ideas. What is it that we can do together? So pretty much my experience has been a lot of virtual meetings. We're all or vigils, couple rallies, walking, sign some petitions, phone calls, that type of thing. But I get a lot of emails or a lot of calls from these organizations. Will you host an event? And so I have 6 to 8 different organizations. There's a couple of them. So you sign up, you don't hear anything. They do one thing, they disappear, they come back later. So, I sign up for all of them. I'm trying to find my people, to be honest. I haven't found my people yet. So they all ask, can you host an event? And I say, well, I haven't even been to one of your events yet. You would like me to host an event? Can you show me what goes on in one of your events? Like, what do you want me to do? Right? So I get nothing. So it's like, okay, so that's kind of disappointing. So I keep trying, and all of the climate organizations do the same thing. Can you host an event in New Jersey? Because eventually, sometimes there'll be something in Newark, and I got to go all the way to Newark. Last week there was something in Morristown, so I went to Morristown. There's every now and then there'll be like a rally or a march in Paterson. So Paterson is close, but for the most part, everything is New York. So like there's nobody in New Jersey that wants to do stuff with me. So I'm trying to get the different climate organizations. Do you guys talk? Because maybe they're sending out a bunch of texts to people. Will you host an event? and maybe 20 of us that would have went to an event didn't host it, and now you're missing 20 people times 10 organizations, right? So you had 120 people that would have participated in an event, but none of them were willing to host it. So my question to the climate organizations is, can you show me what you want me to do, and we'll get the 120 people on board, you know?
What
So
do they want you to do?
I don't know what's involved with hosting an event. So I will tell you that I think that some climate organizations, a lot of the things, so I try to be careful not to spin my wheels, you know. I do not want to spend 2 hours in a room writing a thank you card to Senator Schumer. I don't consider that to be about, that was a real thing, right? And I don't consider that to be worth my time. I don't consider that to be worth my time.
I'm sorry,
right?
but that was perfect.
And then you can't tell, right? I'm honest. I'm like 5'6". So like, if I go to a march in New York City, does anybody really know that I'm even there?
Oh,
Did I really?
Stop.
I'm just saying.
That's
I
silly.
walked down. You got 1 million people. Let's say you have like however many people, and I guess I'm just considering: is it worth me paying $20 for the bridge, going to the city, so I could be like, hey, I did something today, you know? So I'm really trying to figure out what it is that we can do, you know? So what I first, you know, let me just say that I think we would be in a much better place if everybody, instead of watching the Tiger King, if they watched Seaspiracy, Cowspiracy,
there you
go. The Social Dilemma, Dirty Money, you know, if you informed yourself about what's going on in the real world instead of and I watched the Tiger King, but my point is, right, during the pandemic, people said things like, oh, at least the pandemic showed us what's important, right? Did you hear people saying that?
What's important? We knew what was important without a pandemic. You know.
Right. But all right, so maybe in New Jersey, maybe it's just in New Jersey. Everybody I knew was talking about, oh, this pandemic hit. It really makes you appreciate what's important, right? So, not to say the pandemic is over, but you know, we're in a different situation now, right? And what happens? Dickhead number one goes to outer space, Jeff Bezos. So what did we learn during the pandemic? Everybody's buying stuff on Amazon. Jeff Bezos goes to outer space, right? And we know that you can have a farm in some, or you can have an animal farm in some state in the Midwest. But that's not, we were wrong. Everybody that was talking about learning what was important was wrong. So I'll tell you something that's right. We all have our own individual responsibility. So, you know, when I got informed about the dangers of plastic and how animal agriculture is causing emissions, absolutely. Do you still see me? Because I lost myself. I don't necessarily need to see myself as long as it still works. Can you hear me? I lost your volume. Give me a nod. All right, hopefully it's good. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. So
we're back. I'm here.
Oh, okay, good.
I was just letting you rip, babe. You go.
Okay,
you
good.
Rip.
Oh, okay. We could be here for a while. No, I'm playing. So, but I thought about individual responsibility, right? So what happened was I was on a hike. I wanted to figure out how to center myself, and I started going on hikes. And what happens is I see a lot of trash on my hikes. So I try to get away from the world so that I can get in touch with nature. And what do I see? I see trash. So it pissed me off. So I started picking up the trash on my hikes. So I climb a mountain. I carried bags filled with trash that I picked up on the mountain. I get to the top of the mountain and people are like, wow, is that all the trash from the mountain? Yes. So there were some times that people would be like, hey, that's great that you're doing that. You know what? I want to shout out Jackie, if Jackie ever watches this, because I went to this place in New Jersey. What do they call it? Highway to Heaven. And there was this girl that was picking up trash. And I'm like, are you picking up trash? She's like, yeah. And I was like, you are the coolest person I've ever met in my life. Because I wanted to pick up trash. You know what I mean?
Aww,
so the next time I went on a hike, I picked up trash. And so sometimes when I'm on my hikes, I see other people and they're like, wow, I'm going to pick up trash too. And I did have somebody give me their trash, and they were like, "Here, dude," and I'm just like, "Fuck you, man." But anyway, so then I get other people were telling me, "Hey, I'm gonna start picking up trash." So one day I go and I actually brought other bags with me. So if somebody approached me, I was like, "Here, you can do it too, man. I came this way. You could go that way." So I got this idea that I think caring is contagious. There's a lot of people
I
out there
love
that
that.
don't care, right? People don't care. You're taught not to care, right? But like when people care, I think other people care. So there was this one place that I cleaned up, and I'm picking up the trash, and I'm noticing these are some really old bottles. These are some really old cans. This has been here for a long time. So I can't prove this, but my theory is somebody has a campfire, lets 24 cans of beer go in the woods. Somebody else comes back. Oh, here's a garbage can. Here's a good place for my cans. So it's basically your situation where somebody littered, so other people think that they can litter there. It's cool because this is where we litter, right? So my idea is I'm going to pick up the trash. I'm going to clean this up. This is going to be a clean place. I believe that it's much less likely for people to dump a bunch of trash, So that's my
Yes.
idea. And so I started cleaning, right? Going on my hikes. And then what I started doing, do a lot of cleanups, and it's actually really disgusting. When you start picking up trash, you realize as you get closer that there's more and more and more. It's a real problem, So I kind of get a little bit of anxiety. I'm sure I'm not the only one. When you think about all the plastic that's going into the ocean, and right now, don't visualize it, but there's a resort. There's tons of people that are just drinking plastic and throwing it in the garbage, and they have no concept of what's going on. So it helps me to know that I'm not part of that. It helps me to counter, to battle that, right? So and human beings are somewhat of a cancer to this planet. It's true that we are a cancer to this planet. We're just eating up the planet. And I thought this was interesting. Cancer or bacteria doesn't reproduce when it thinks that it's an unfavorable situation for the next its off. I don't know if you're going to call bacteria offspring, but that's happening with human beings. A lot of people I know. I'm divorced. My ex-wife and I, we weren't going to have kids because we didn't want to raise kids in the situation. So it helped me to make sure that I'm not contributing to the plastic problem. So basically, what I did was I took everything in my house, and it took me probably 2 years to be plastic free. I think I signed something years ago to stop, one of those climate, hey, stop using plastic, sign this. So, I stopped single use plastic. And then I looked for, one of the things that freaked me out was, every toothbrush that you've ever used still exists. When you really learn about plastic, only 9% of plastic has been recycled. Flimsy plastic doesn't get recycled. Black plastic isn't recyclable. Plastic is only recyclable one time.
That's horrible.
Right? You got the great garbage patch in the Pacific Ocean. You got Midway Island. I saw a video. Google Midway Island. I saw a video where there's a bunch of animals, where there's basically birds. So you see the birds eating the plastic, and then the birds are dying because they ate plastic.
Oh my God.
So somebody took a drone to this island, and you just see dead birds with plastic outline. And some of the countries, I don't want to call anybody a third world country. I think America is kind of a third world country, really.
You fit.
Some of the countries,
You're
you watch videos of these countries where there's tons of trash, and the first thought is, what a dirty country. And then you realize, wait a minute, that's our trash. That's the trash from America that are, so these beautiful islands, these indigenous people have our, so I could go on about trash. Let's not go on about that. But basically what I did was I replaced every product in my house. I found Bites toothpaste. Maybe they'll give us some money. I get my toothbrushes, I get a bamboo toothbrush, toothpaste, mouthwash, glass container, no plastic. Package free shop. I get my deodorant in a cardboard, in cardboard. I get bamboo toilet paper, 52 rolls delivered to me in an electric vehicle, in a cardboard. So I don't, there's no plastic. My friends know not to come to my house with plastic. I go to the shopping center. I got my reusable bag, my little container for my fruit, and most people look at me like I'm crazy. And you know what?
No.
I'm sick of people looking at me like I'm crazy. So when I was a kid, my parents told me, so I think this is, the fundamental thing that has to change, right? Talk about degrowth. The idea of you just throw your trash here and here's your recyclables, right? So when I was a kid, I was under the impression that I can just get rid of things and it will magically disappear and I don't have to worry about it. But that was a lie. It blows my mind that nobody considered that that the iceberg is gonna melt completely, that we're gonna run out of tree, we're gonna cut all the trees down. Like it's not the whole idea of infinite resources is wrong. The whole idea of things magically disappearing is wrong. So I'm here to tell you that if you think that the planet is an all-you-can-eat buffet and that you can just throw stuff up, you're the crazy one. I'm not the crazy one. So I think the whole idea of, hey, I need a new car every 2 years. This color is last year's color. Like that's like the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life, right? That's last year's color. My kitchen is dated. These are ridiculous things to say. You are programmed. You don't need a new anything. I talked about specials to watch. Minimalism really changed my life because, and it's not saying to minimize what you have, but it's saying only have the things you love. You don't need all those things, right? So we don't need a new car. We don't need a bigger TV. I don't need any of that. So we need to kind of change this idea of getting a whole bunch of stuff and realize there is a finite amount of resources. We need to live in harmony with the planet, with the other animals, with all the people, and let's stop exploiting it. So
That's so beautiful. And you're saying that the friends that you have in New Jersey they're like clueless?
so people,
Clueless.
and I get it, right? Everybody's in their own world. I met somebody recently that told me that they're not into politics because it doesn't affect them. And then, right, I'm blown. Like people think it doesn't affect them, and I'm like, it affects everything you do. Actually, they don't understand it, but they're in their own world, right? They're fighting with their boss. They're the every day. They're stuck in this capitalistic situation where they're just trying to survive. That they don't have the energy to question where they are. It's what it. And I get it. It's very sad. We talked about this briefly. People like their bubble. People want to live in their bubble. This is why people have prescription drugs, right? Valium. We also don't look up. Like they're right. You take some Valium after work. We're all good. They're not thinking about what's going on and they honestly don't want to know because they don't want to face it. So I think there's strength in. I asked myself this question, red pill or the blue pill, right? So all of us probably went down this wormhole where we wanted to be informed and we wanted to know what was going on. And I was a Republican when I first got exposed to politics.
Woo.
Being that I'm in a Republican town. My parents are conservative. Everybody's conservative. And when you hear some conservative ideas, like they make sense. Some conservative ideas. I'm sure there's people hating on me right now. It's all good. I deserve
Nobody's
it.
hating on you, sweetheart.
All right, for conservative ideas. But
No.
the point is, I was conservative. And the more I read, the further left I went, the more informed I got, the more disturbing everything is. Right. And it's like, oh my God, I wish I didn't know. So very often I'm filled with the situation. Like, it's like, should I tell somebody? Do I want to wake up this person? What's that going to be like? And I came to the realization because I try to get people involved, and cognitive dissonance is real.
Oh,
People, right? So think about this, because this is a big realization. This was a big realization. I'm honestly pissed off that I've been lied to my entire life about everything. You know, since before I was born, people have been plotting to exploit me, make a profit off of my work, take my clean energy, you know, take my clean air, take my clean water, you know. So like Nestle, you don't own the Great Lakes. Like bullshit, you know. So I'm angry about it. So, you know, I want to do as much as I could do. I want to fight the system. I want to break the system. I want to change the system, whatever, you know. But what we're doing now absolutely isn't working. And the people that are at the wheel are sleeping. You know, I wouldn't get in a car with Joe Biden driving, to be honest. I don't know
I
how
don't
he's
think Jill
president,
does either.
right? What's the cursing policy on this show, by the way?
You can fucking say whatever the fuck you
Wait,
want.
so like, we really had to choose between the two biggest assholes on the planet every 4 fucking years, right? So while I'm going on, I think I started talking about individual responsibility because, you know, does our vote count, right? So anybody that participated in the 2016 primaries or maybe the 2020 Democratic primaries, you know that your primary vote didn't count. But with all the gendermandering going on,
Oh,
voter
gerrymandering.
suppression, thank you. The vote got to count for something. I'm sure it counts for something, right?
Locally,
Why would
more
they try
so,
to,
I think.
right? So obviously we have a messed up system where they suppress, you know, they don't let the third party run. You get no, you know, but our technology, you know, has advanced. So anyway, that's a different topic. I'm talking about the individual responsibility. We can vote, but this is America. We need to starve these corporations of money. Why are we giving Jeff Bezos our money? I heard a speech on the way to a Bernie rally and they talked about voting with your dollar. Every dollar you spend is voting for sustainable business, local business, black business, or the evil empire. Why are you buying things from Amazon when you don't have to? I'm not saying that if you don't have any money or you can't find a product and you buy it from Amazon, you're wrong. But I'm saying look for an alternative first, right? Walmart, if you think about Walmart, Amazon's business practices is putting small businesses out of business. The way Amazon, you know, the way that they would basically look to small businesses sources so that they could then get the product, sell it for cheaper, put the small business out of business. And so like we shouldn't be giving our money to Walmart if we have that choice. Remember Hillary Clinton worked for Walmart. They had a big promotion on Made in America. And it wasn't even made in America. Do you remember this? This actually
She was on
happened.
the board. Wasn't she on the board of
Yes.
Walmart? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Hillary Clinton,
Bitch.
Walmart, made in America, made in
Yuck.
Taiwan. Or whatever.
Yuck.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this is where, so like if you know, don't go to Walmart, right? Home Depot donated money to Trump. I go to the local hardware store. If they don't have it, I'm going to Lowe's. The point is individual responsibility. Not to say, obviously the fossil fuel companies, they want you to feel bad about your carbon footprint, right? It's your fault instead of the fossil fuel. There's a difference, right? We're trying to survive in a capitalist system. And a lot of times I see activists get on a show or somebody get on a show and they say, how'd you get here today? You drove a car? And they think that that's like a big gotcha moment. There's a big difference between surviving in a capitalistic system versus, you know, supporting it. You know, so I think a combination of voting, a combination of taking action, but really, it's really the money. If we don't buy these things, then they can't make it. If everybody stopped buying plastic bottles, everybody, don't buy a plastic bottle. Why are you buying a plastic bottle? That company didn't make the water. They stole the water
Jars.
and they're selling you a plastic
Over and
bottle.
over. Yeah.
Right?
I know. I don't buy them either. And I hate them. But it's sometimes
Right,
you're
so-
stuck.
Yeah, sometimes you're stuck. So that's an example. So don't feel bad about surviving in a capitalist system. You're at the store. Like if you're gonna die from not drinking water, buy the plastic bottle. But it's really not hard. I got a cup, you know. So my point is individual responsibility. We shouldn't be supporting companies that are making plastic, selling us, you know, selling us water that is tap water or water that really should belong to everybody. You know, so I'm just saying, think about the things that you buy, and different actions, voting,
Yes,
taking action.
absolutely. I have a comment here that I think is really good, and I have to bring this to you.
Sure.
Brian Tiger says, "You're awesome. Do you
Thank you,
know
Tiger.
that this is exactly what leading an event should look and sound like? If not, tell him. Right on, dead on."
I appreciate you so much, Tiger, and I can't tell you how many times I was a little person in the corner of an event where people, I don't know, I guess like I said, that sometimes I feel like we're wasting time. So like I want to motivate. I want people to do things. So I shared something kind of recently, and we talked a little bit about
Mhm.
fossil fuel companies. They actually
Yes.
coined the term carbon footprint, and they want you to feel bad about what you're doing. And the whole point is they want to take the attention off of them. I don't know if we have any Star Wars nerds out there. If there's any Star Wars nerds, there's a thing called battle meditation. It only exists in the books, right? But what the Emperor would do in the books is he would use the Force to make the opposing team feel bad, make them feel like they're losing, because controlling the narrative, controlling the mindset is everything. So if you are sitting at home and you're feeling gloomy and you're not doing anything, you lost. You gave up. You didn't. So I recognize that the mindset of consumerism, you know, it needs to change. We need to degrowth. And there's no benefit whatsoever of the gloom or the glum or just kind of feeling bad about it. So we need to take action, and like I think hope is contagious. I hope that taking action is contagious. So, I mentioned that people in New Jersey aren't too, or at least I don't know too many people. I'm sure there's tons of people that are, but I don't know them. But my friends, like, they know not to bring, so all my friends, like, they'll call me from time to time. Hey, Brian, I stopped doing this, or I got this now. And they're showing me like little things that they're doing. And I think that that's great. And, hopefully they take that home with them. And, my mom too, she's so supportive, and she's kind of plastic free and transitioning towards going vegan. And it's great. And we just kind
Great.
of need to change the mindset. Um,
It's hard
since we're
for
talking
some
about,
of us. It's hard for some. I wrestle, I go grocery shopping, and it's like a sickening event. Every time I go, it takes too long. Everything's plastic. I get anxiety ridden. I have to read all of the labels. It's a
Mhm.
terrible experience. And it has been for a long time. And then buying something if I'm out on the road and I have to buy, like these types of things. I keep this. This is a stirrer from getting
Uh-huh.
coffee in my reusable stainless steel container, but I bring it home. I can't. And everybody else is just like, throwing it away like it's nothing. Where the fuck are they?
So,
Don't they see the movies? Don't they see the
right,
videos of the garbage over there and that we
right,
sent
right,
over to China?
right, right. So instead of me going to the store and everybody looking at me like I'm crazy, I think the person that's buying all the plastic stuff, using up the plastic, right? Everybody else should look at them like they're crazy. We need to come out and speak and spread our opinions. So one of the things that I strongly believe in, and I've always believed this, is that you're in a room, everybody's going along with the teacher or the boss or whatever, and everybody's just, yeah, yes, yes. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, somebody wants to shake their head no, right? So I shake my head no. And then like three or four other people are like, no. So I'm like, okay, I'll be that person, right? I'll be the one that takes the jump out and says, I'm willing to go against the norm, and I'm sure that there's other people like me that are going to join me. So
Well, you
yeah,
found a
I'm
few
going.
here.
So
You
that's
found a
exactly it.
few
Right
here.
now, I'm going against the norm, and I'm looking for people to join me. As far as individual action, staying active, right? Hey, does voting count? Or some of the things that I do, like I call my senators, I sign petitions, and it's got to be better than doing nothing. I call companies, send emails, companies, write them reviews, spend my money. It's got to count for something, but I need more people to help me. I need less people buying things on Amazon and more people going to the local store. So I'm asking you all. Will you go to the local store? Will you use less plastic? And I'm not saying don't use any plastic at all. Just start to go that way. You know, one of the big problems we got on this planet is the American diet, because people used to have balance, but instead they want to add a McDonald's and a Starbucks everywhere.
Yeah.
And rather than maybe have your grains, your sandwich, and some meat for dinner, you know, we got to have the Taylor ham, egg, and cheese for breakfast with bacon, bacon cheeseburger, right? Hey, we need chicken for buns. Let's get a steak with a, you know, it's too much, you know? So, I mean, if you're not willing to go vegan, and I'm not one of those vegans that hates on somebody for having a little bit of cheese or whatever. I think that eating less meat is better, you know? So I'm not going to be like, oh, you might as well eat all the meat then. That's the stupidest argument I've ever heard in my life, is that you shouldn't, you know what I mean? If you're going to eat, if you're going to do less meat,
Right.
that's better.
Oh, I've changed a lot of things since,
That's great.
over the years. I mean, completely. And I still am a consumer. I will admit. And I wish I knew why I can't fix this.
You
This
can't stop.
sound.
You can't stop buying things.
No, the sound. I hear the sound. I don't.
Oh,
It's not on my end. It's well.
I
We'll
didn't
fix
hear
it
it
for
for
the
a
next
while.
show. It
Okay.
will feel it. We'll do it for the next show. Unless I mute you.
I
I don't know. I don't know what it's on your side. So if I mute you
Really?
when I talk, then it stops. So I just won't talk.
Okay.
Everybody on this channel
Oh my
has
goodness.
heard me
So
talk
sorry.
ad nauseum. So go for it. My thing was just really quickly, I mean, I grew up all these years with all this consumption and shit and garbage, and it's terrible. So I've struggled.
I get it. You know what? It's one thing at a time. You know, I don't know if you watched the special with Maria Kondo. Um, so this woman goes into your house and she takes things, and she basically cleans up your house, and you throw out stuff that you don't need, and then afterwards you feel so much better because actually your possessions are attachments, you know, and it feels good to actually get rid of things and live with less clutter, you know. But it's great, but it's one step at a time. It's a process. It takes a while, you know.
It is a process. It was a process for me to completely, I still eat eggs and some cheese, but it's for the most part, the only things that eat meat in my house are my cats, and that's because people bring over venison and beef tongue. I live in a farm community, so they bring me all the shit. They go fishing. They bring me the fish so I feed it to the cats. Doesn't cost a lot of money that way.
You know, I didn't think we would talk about this, but I have to say, since we're kind of talking about it, you know, um, I saw a deer playing in my backyard one day. They were just playing in my backyard, and I looked at them and I'm like, wow, they're just like dogs. These things. So I just kind of started to think. I'm like, wow, do they have personalities? You know, and I began watching animals a little bit more and maybe watching some specials. So, you know, I gradually, you know, transitioned off of meat altogether and animal products altogether, because I realized that animals do have feelings and can feel pain. And I was horrified at the idea that when a fish is out of water and he's jumping around, that he's suffocating. Um, you know, so it's really hard. And you know, I go out to eat with my parents, and my mom won't eat. You know, she eats less meat, so that's good. But my dad will order veal, or order like something that there's just and
Veal
I'm
is
just at the
horrible.
table, right? And
It's
I'm
the
just at the
worst.
table horrified. I'm at the table horrified, right? So I don't want to make anybody feel bad with what I'm about to say. But what I realized was, if my dad were to acknowledge that animals have feelings, he's then going to wake up to the idea of how many deaths he's or supported the money for, you know? So I think that that's a big part of it, you know, is that people don't want to acknowledge things that being wrong, or what they did, you know. So it's important to understand we were programmed, like I was told, right? I was under the idea that I had a soul and these animals don't have souls or feelings, right? So it's okay to eat them. But, you know, I don't feel that way anymore. So, you know, I think that that mindset needs to change as well. So we're gonna get talk about the plastic treaty, but there's also the plant-based treaty, you know, that is looking to have less meat. It's absolutely ridiculous that COP26 wasn't vegan. Sure, it's ridiculous they all took their flights there as well. Everything is ridiculous about it, you know. Um, so that's how I feel about eating animals. You know, I
Many
don't
of
do it.
a lot of our followers are very much like that. It is not everybody, but we don't put anybody down for what they do. No, we don't do that here. We just talk about what we do and what we've learned and how we've, changed. I mean, we may be limited on time on this earth, but we're still living. And while we're still living, we all should do the best thing we can.
Best thing we can, absolutely. So I get told pretty regularly. People say things to me like, "Oh, it doesn't make a difference," right? I'm going to eat twice as much steak tonight to undo you. People tell me, or oh, you know, sometimes I'm picking up trash, whatever it is that I'm doing, and people tell me, "Hey, it doesn't make a difference." And my response to that is, you know what? I'm responsible for me. So no matter what, I want to be able to look myself in the mirror and know that I did the right thing and that I'm myself and I'm true. And I don't care what other people are doing, you know. So the idea of like, oh, America shouldn't cut their emissions because China pollutes. Like, what a selfish, stupid point of view. You know, I absolutely hate that. We are responsible for ourselves. You know, we're responsible to be a good human being. You know, so for me, you know, and I get it. Some people don't. It takes a while to get there because you know what, the human brain could only process or do so much, right? So you know, I know that some people you just can't handle understanding the severity of the climate situation, for example. So you tell somebody about the climate and then they don't care or do anything. It's not that they don't care, it's that they really can't even process the information that you're giving them, you know. And we started to talk about this a little bit before. So I've noticed this when I try to get people involved, or I try to tell them what's going on, I try to get them to take action. And I realize that you can't just dump everything on somebody. I'm not going to I'm not going to talk to you for an hour about climate change and then how ineffective our government is and let you know at the end of the hour that we're completely fucked. There's no benefit of that, right? What did I do?
Although we do it all the time here.
You're ruining somebody's life a little bit.
Probably.
You know. So what I'm trying to do recently is kind of just change it a little bit, right? Rather than try to tell somebody everything and get them to be an activist the first day, maybe tell them about plastic. Get them to get involved in plastic, right? Now that they're involved in plastic, let's talk about oil, right? Let's talk maybe the order, maybe talk about the government first. I don't know. But the point is not to give people more than they can handle. Don't ruin somebody's life.
That's
Get them
yeah.
involved.
Definitely more than they can handle. That and the thing about
Right.
I will say about the climate change deniers are the people that always say, "Oh, well, climate's always been changing," is you call it something else. You call it, I say, climate disruption, or you call it, you just like you said, you find commonality with them.
Find commonality. Well, somebody told me today that the climate is always changing. And, you know, sure, the climate has been changing, but within the last 50 years, the graph goes like this, right? And let's keep it real. This climate changing that they speak of, it's not a gets warmer, gets colder, gets warmer, gets colder. Like we're not on that same projection. Like what are they even? They're just talking. So you know right away when you talk to somebody, at least I know, right? A lot, how many times you start to talk to somebody and they're just spitting out whatever catchphrases Fox 5 is saying that day. Like you hear them. You know, how many people do you know? I know a lot of people like this. I think it's apparent with COVID. You start to see it, that the people that don't necessarily pay a lot of attention heard one or two things, and they just keep repeating it or saying it, and they think that that's right. Because Tucker Carlson or whoever said the climate's always changing. You know, um, I wish I could tell you, like, because every now and then, my dad obviously watches Fox News. Not obvious for you guys, but for me, it's obvious because when I could tell by what he's concerned about. Hey, did you hear about the Chinese or whatever? And it's just like, I'm just like, oh my God, man, this, it's not happening. Um, so anyway, if somebody's denying something, like, that person is watching that media and listening to those people. So you kind of gotta steer them away from that media. So it blows my mind that people don't know that Fox News was created for the sake of giving people the stories that they want to hear for ratings. And they think that the media is actually giving you a true story. So people, that's another mindset that has to change. People watch TV and it's like, oh, well, he said it, so it's got to be real. And I think we're kind of going too far the other way now. We don't believe scientists. I was talking to somebody about climate change kind of recently, and I said something about climate scientists, and then they said, "Oh, well, who's paying that scientist?" So it's
That's
unfortunate
fucked up.
it's
We're
unfortunate that's
paranoid.
even a
We're
thing.
living in a mass paranoia. I mean, it's mass. It's epidemic paranoia.
Yeah. What? There's a lot of paranoia going on. I find it very ironic, the person that tells me that I'm living in fear for wearing a mask while carrying a gun, right? You're carrying a gun to go to the freaking store, and you're telling me that I'm living in fear for wearing a mask, right? Um, so we're hypocritical humans, and this it's a common thing, is that we don't want to look at ourselves and acknowledge we're wrong or acknowledge our part and do our thing. We don't want to be told, and that's the cognitive dissonance. You got to be open to different ideas and try to get better, try to do things that help. you know so you asked me about this, and I told you, that I'm a stubborn asshole. If I'm going down, I'm gonna fight you. So as far as the climate,
Well, you're
and
also a
pollution,
martial artist.
well, I am a martial artist.
Yes, and that
um
I like. I love. I
Martial
thought
arts is
that's
great.
great.
Didn't you
Yeah.
say you did it as well?
Yeah, but now my back is so bad. I took body combat for years. It was a Les Mills program. It was a mixed martial arts dance. It was fantastic. I
Like
loved it.
cap capoeira. Capoeira
You
is the one
know,
that I know with the dance moves.
it had the dance moves. We had everything, but I can't. I'm older. My back is messed up, and just taking care of this place, which is like I have a lot of responsibility here. But I used to do all that. I was in like phenomenal shape. But those days are over for me. Oh, wait. I got to unmute you. I have to change it around
Oh,
so that we don't hear that noise. Okay, your turn.
okay. I'm at the end of my martial arts. I've been doing it for like 15 years, so I still kind of train, but it's a very humbling experience when people that were young that you used to be able to beat up are now like young adults, and then meanwhile you're kind of over the hill and got a bad whatever, and you're like, okay, thankfully I was
A
cool to you
bad
when you were
everything.
little, because now you can kick my ass, right? So that happens. So that's where I'm at
Well,
now
you
in
were
my
a
martial
trainer.
arts.
You were a teacher.
Yeah, I was a,
You
I was
are.
a instructor. I was a martial arts instructor, and I competed. So I did
Which
it for a
which
while.
discipline? Which discipline?
So it's MMA. So I will not give that school a free shout out today. But what their theory was, basically anything that works in martial arts, we're gonna do it. So I had a little bit of boxing experience. So what I liked about this specific place was, they took a boxer stance. They added kicks. They took judo, wrestling. So it was just like, we're gonna do whatever. So it's anything, and I love it. You get a lot out of it, a lot of discipline. It's good for like your anger management. And plus, it's fun. It's fun. And
It
I
was
can't tell
it
you
was
how
great
important
fun.
it is. Yeah, I can't tell you how important it is to be able to defend yourself. you wouldn't think about it, but you know, people try to bully me or intimidate me on a regular basis, and it's just like I'm not worried about you, you know. So I can't tell you how the confidence to know that you could defend yourself in a situation, you know, it's everything, you know.
And with your body, not with a firearm.
Right, not with a firearm, exactly. There's no reason for a firearm. I think I think a lot of people that are carrying guns or using guns is because they're scared to take an ass whipping. You know.
Yeah, you make sense there. You're very interesting. Just uh, let me mute you while I talk. Anybody have any questions? Remember to put a Q in front of this for Brian. Uh, we wanted to get a little bit about the hemp, and I wanted to hear about the the hempoline. And I wanted to ask you, with this hemp and growing, you maybe using it as an alternative fuel. Is it going to be business as usual where it'll just be more growth and maybe we would use that? Or is this something that would work with a degrowth economy?
So basically, the thing with hemp is it's almost like a secret. Hemp was marijuana was illegal up until recently in New Jersey, and hemp was always associated with marijuana. So I was actually in the auto industry when I was learning about what they were doing to make vehicles lighter. And I asked the instructor. So we were in this course, and the person that was teaching my class was involved in the development of these products. And he's talking about how they have to make things lighter so that they get better gas mileage. And I said, is there any consideration in the different composite plastics that you're introducing into the environment and how they're always going to be here and you can't recycle them? And he said, no, we didn't think about that. So, you know, something went off in my head. And actually, working in the auto industry pretty much brought me here because I was disgusted at all the waste, right? Because people get in a car accident, scratch on their bumper. Oh, I want a new bumper. I say, hey, that's plastic. Like, you really, like, we could just fix it, you know, but so there's so much waste. So I looked into it. Gerald Ford made a car. A lot of people know this, that Gerald Ford made a car out of hemp in 1940. It ran off of hemp. It was made out of hemp. So hemp,
Henry
hemp
Ford or
kernels.
Gerald Ford?
I thought it was Harold, Henry Ford.
Yeah.
Henry Ford.
Gerald
Henry.
Ford was
What
that
did I say? Gerald?
Gerald was the president after Nick.
Right. So
Yeah,
Henry
Gerald.
Ford. Yeah. So Henry Ford, the Ford. So they made a car, you know, out of hemp. It ran off of hemp. So hemp was they said it was 8 to 10 times stronger than steel. So, you know, kind of the way that they make carbon fiber, they intertwine it, or I'm not sure exactly what they do. A lot of times people challenge me on that fact. 8 to 10 times stronger. It's a fact. And it was more resistant. And they made the car to run off. They made the car to run off hemp. So this blows my mind, right? Because we fight wars for oil. We're burning fossil fuels. We're warming our planet for gas when we don't even need to be using gas. We didn't even need to be using gas. The whole thing is bullshit, right? And it's tough to actually get like a lot of information. So my research shows me that the steel industry lobbied our government in 1940, right, about using steel. I also heard that the oil industry was involved in this. This information I got kind of recently from somebody else. So I heard that the oil industry, I can't really confirm it. The oil industry was involved in lobbying the government in the 40s. And I'm going to take a guess that, you know, alcohol, maybe tobacco, right? Everybody wanted marijuana and hemp to be illegal. It's like a conspiracy that these drugs, I'm calling it a drug. It's not even a drug, would even be illegal, right? So up until 2 years ago, hemp was illegal, and it doesn't even do anything. You know, so hemp is actually a magical product because it can be. I heard it was used for regeneration in Fukushima. You know, it could be used to make clothes. It could be used to make plastic. So plastic could be replaced with hemp. Gas can be replaced with hemp. So I'm asking myself the question: why isn't hemp being developed? You know, why aren't we? You know, so right now our government kind of recently, they're talking about making all the diesel trucks or diesel buses switch over to electric. So something goes like, so I believe that this is greenwashing, right? So we're going to go to electric so that the companies and the people, maybe the politicians, probably have stock in electric, right? The companies, electric lobbied our government, so now we're going to transition to electric. And I'm over here like, hey, if you could make hempoline and power a diesel truck with no modifications, why are we not just making hempoline? So I've been trying to find this out. And so I contact vehicle manufacturers, and I'm really not getting anywhere. I'm trying to contact vehicle manufacturers. Will you guys use hemp? Will you make the vehicle off hemp? So I learned when I was working for Geico, it was actually insurance companies that developed seatbelts and airbags. The insurance companies got together and they forced the vehicle manufacturers to make the vehicles safer so that people wouldn't get injured. So I'm wondering, are the insurance companies going to say, hey, vehicle manufacturers, why don't you make the cars with friendly materials? Because I think that insurance companies should, because insurance companies also have to pay out on catastrophes. So if you work for an insurance company, people get in car accidents, fine. But if there's a flood, a fire, or a catastrophe, the insurance company loses a lot of money. So every year with the insurance company that I worked for, that I'll definitely not give a shout out, every year, if there wasn't, the years that there wasn't a catastrophe was great. It was like, oh, there was no catastrophe, there was less catastrophes. So insurance companies are vested in this. So one of the things that I try to do is influence insurance companies. You guys are involved. Use whatever rules. National Institute of Highway Safety was the ones that developed the seatbelts. So as far as vehicle manufacturers, insurance companies, I'm talking to scientists like, hey, and I can't get a lot of information on hemp. There's tons of people that tell me everything is great. And then there's every now and then I'll get somebody that'll be like, oh, hemp is bad. You can't do it. And I'm just like, you have 2 followers. I don't really believe you. But really, so this is what it seems like to me. And I really can't confirm this right now. I'm still, it seems to me that because there's not a lobbying industry for hemp, because there's not a millionaire that's willing to say, hey, I'm going to start this hemp business and we're going to produce hempoline and we're going to do these things, so nobody's doing it. I think there's a lot of people that are probably trying to keep it a secret. So I don't know what's going on. So I'm really trying to get the proper people to talk to each other. All of the climate organizations that I've been volunteering for, I send them these ideas like, hey, this is why I got involved, because really I'm skeptical that going electric is the right answer. And, we should have been using hemp all along. And, I want to see much more hemp industry right now. There shouldn't be any plastic. We should be using hemp. It should be biodegradable. There's no reason for all this plastic. So we got to force the companies to do it by contacting them, by not buying their products, right? I write Snapple regularly. Bring back the glass, and I'm not the only one. Bring back the glass bottles. I haven't had a Snapple since you had a glass bottle, right? I don't buy it, but that's just me, but if they got more phone calls, more emails, less money, right? Then at the same time, I'm contacting my senators, my representatives. Hey, why aren't we using hemp? We can grow it in New Jersey. These are all the things. New Jersey could be leading the industry, right? So right now I'm trying to, like, Leo DiCaprio, what's up, man? Help me out. You got the money. You're passionate about it. Who else is cool? I don't know if anybody's ever seen Down to Earth. I was kind of surprised with Zac Efron. I thought Zac Efron was a tool, and I actually kind of like him. So Down to Earth was really good. So Zac Efron, you're not a tool. You're cool. If you want to invest in a hemp company, I'll work for you.
I'll have to send him this show.
Yeah. But we don't have billionaire investors. People actually think Elon Musk is going to save the planet.
None of us do here.
No.
None of us. Yeah.
No, I'm sure of it. Everybody
Oh,
follow me on Twitter, and I will follow you back, and we can chat. I'm always looking for people in New Jersey, and I'm also
all right.
always
Well,
looking for ideas
let
of things
me
that we can do to take action.
let me show them your Twitter, which I have right here. You're up here. See, there's Brian, and he's on Twitter, so you can definitely hook up on. This noise is terrible. You could definitely hook up on Twitter, and there were some other things that he had: a call to action, a new global treaty on pollution from plastic, stop plastic pollution, Starbucks, we want reusable. So all these things are on, and I'll put some links in the show notes. And Brian, let me find some questions. And remember,
Sure.
I have to I have to I have to mute you while I'm reading a question.
Right.
Okay,
That's,
let me do this right now. All right, let's see. The first one, Brian, have you considered speaking to school kids? Wait. Unmute. Okay, your turn.
I have. I would love to. So I've done the only time I spoke to school kids, I went back to my high school and I did a freshman orientation, but it wasn't about environment at all. But I absolutely would love to speak to school kids. I actually am interested in becoming a teacher at this point, but I'm also very aware that there's a lot of parents that are very upset about some things teachers say to kids. So there's like a fine line. There are environmental classes now and kids are learning. um, you know, when I was teaching martial arts, like I would try to get my kids to be responsible and conscious a little bit. um, so I would like to talk to kids. I would like to do more.
All right, let's see. Are you on LinkedIn?
No, actually, I think I filled out like a LinkedIn because I had to as part of unemployment, but I don't pay attention to it. You're still
Unemployment will I know this is because you're going to get headset, but unemployment makes you have a LinkedIn to find a job.
You know what? So I got laid off a while ago, and I got singled out by unemployment that I had to have like an unemployment counselor and do. So I don't think everybody had to do what I had to do. So I think it was around the time when they stopped giving the extra $300 checks, and they were like, "Let's bust this guy's balls." So I think they were busting my balls. So I had to do a LinkedIn. So hopefully my unemployment counselor doesn't watch this and know that I don't really pay too much attention to my LinkedIn.
I'm sure that's not going to happen. I'm sure. Okay, next question is from Field B, who's asking, "What's the name of the hemp advocacy group in New Jersey? How do folks find out what else you'd like to do in New Jersey?" Brian, thank you.
Interesting. Very good. So there actually isn't a hemp advocacy group in New Jersey that I'm aware of. I consider myself a hemp advocate, and honestly, everybody that I've talked to about hemp, I've met from Twitter. So I follow scientists and email the scientists, "Hey, have you heard anything about hemp?" And then there's a lot of other hemp enthusiasts on Twitter that have put me on to some references. And what I'm really interested in doing is connecting some of the pieces. Because in theory, right, I hear that a diesel truck can run on hempoline. I'm in the process of getting my CDL, and I don't know where to buy hempoline. I would love to put hempoline in somebody else's truck and see what happens. But it doesn't seem like there's a market for it. So I'm trying to help connect the pieces, and I'm really doing it on my own. And I found some people and been put on to some links, to get some more information, but it's really not happening, and that's really an issue. And I think that it's consistent with some of the things that we see with our government, unfortunately. So if anybody is in New Jersey, you can follow me and you can message me on Twitter, My Twitter will say, you could email me if you want to talk to me about advocating, activism and not trying to sell me Bitcoin or date me. All right. So if you send me a message that says, "Hey, what's up?" then I'm probably going to ignore you. If you say, "Do you trade?" I'm going to ignore you. But if you say, "I love hemp," then I'm going to respond.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, Gary thinks that it's time to come out in the open, Brian. We need people like you as a leader. You can do it, Brian. Absolutely. Okay.
Harry, I appreciate you. I'm really trying to figure out what I can do. So, as far really, I've been trying to get information from these climate organizations, like what's involved in this hosting, and I'm not really getting anywhere. And, you know, I go to different businesses and I try to influence them. And I'm thinking, like, I used to DJ, I have DJ equipment. I'm like, you know what? I could just go somewhere, set up a table. Like, what can I
Start
do? I want
talking.
to talk to people. So I talk and sometimes people listen. A lot of times people fight with me or argue with me. But that's okay. So I want to. So I'm trying to set myself up to be in the position to be a leader. I really can't say why I'm not in a good position right now, but I am taking steps and hoping that I could be involved more. Because I'd love to be a leader or get more people involved. I'm really trying to find my place right now.
Well, I'm gonna hook you up with Jim McHenry, who is on our chat, and he is in Pennsylvania, and he does a climate march in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, every Friday morning. It's a live stream. He does it. Nobody joins him. Years he's been doing this, and nobody joins him. So possibly you guys could get together and perhaps you could start doing a climate, a climate march on Friday mornings or something like the same type of thing.
I think raising awareness is huge. So people see you do something, but that's sad that people haven't joined him. Um, but as long as I could participate, I absolutely will. Pennsylvania Hemp Company is actually the closest hemp company to me. There's a hemp company in Pennsylvania. And I was interested in possibly taking a ride down there at some point because I'd like to know what goes on. I'm really just trying to research it and do it and, put pieces together.
Well, really quick, because we're an hour 7, and who said this? There is an actual right now fire in Passaic. There is a fire, a chemical fire in Passaic. It just came on the news. It is, wait a minute. Oh, Kevin Shanholzer. Hi, Kevin. He said, breaking news, Passaic, New Jersey chemical plant fire right now. You are in a state.
Well, we have a reputation for chemical plants because, okay. I know I have an accent. We have best pizza. Some people say pizza and bagels. But really, New Jersey's actually one of the leading states on climate. Um, at least the officials, the government, and the people in the meeting that I was involved in, the energy department. So New Jersey, we have the wind program, and there's a lot of great solar programs. But yeah, New Jersey. What is New Jersey's New York's toilet bowl? I don't know.
No. Snork had a comment earlier, and he said oil from algae is better than oil from hemp for fuel. Oil from any alternative stream could be blended through, but there is a huge lobby blocking alternative hydrocarbon sources, especially net zero CO2. Mm. All right.
There's a lot of talk of alternative fuels. So I listen to the scientists. I can't say that I know specifically which ones are better than which ones, and I'm really still in the gathering information phase. But it's noticeable how it's not connected. So if there's an alternative vegetable oil, but it's still true that there was no reason for us ever to be as dependent on oil as we are. And there's tons of the great news is there's alternatives. The climate scientists, right? People, I saw something that said donate money to research climate change. We don't need money to research climate change. The scientists have the solutions. We have all the solutions. We just need to implement them. We need to get our government to implement the solutions. And the way to get our government to implement the solutions is for us to be active and let them know that we're watching them and we're not going to vote for them and not spend our money on gasoline as much or whatever else.
Do you really think, with all that that there really are solutions that in the long run are going to stop runaway warming?
I think there are solutions. So, climate scientists agree, and fossil fuel industry lobbyists, CEOs, and workers all agree. So, if anybody's not familiar with Climate Files, go to www.climatefiles.com. It has been known since as early as 1918 that climate change or emissions is caused by human activity. So yeah, we have CO2 from transportation and you got methane from animal agriculture. At the same time, we're destroying the ocean forests, which are not absorbing these materials. So it's absolutely human activity as far as what we're seeing. And climate scientists agree that, we need to stop it, otherwise we're going to make things worse. So, last year, what was it, maybe three or however many catastrophes, but they're expecting three times as many catastrophes this year, right? So what that means is that as long as emissions and methane are rising, we're going to have more storms, more fires, more floods, more disease, more death, which is ultimately going to lead to less water, less pollution, more pollution, more war. So what we need to do is, or it would be beneficial to stop making it worse, right? So let's not continue to add to it. We're not gonna fix it, right? We're not gonna be able to refreeze the ice caps. The temperature is not gonna go down. We're gonna have to live with it. So climate scientists agree that we need to minimize it, and if we don't minimize it, it's gonna get worse. So we basically have a situation where we're either going to continue to live in a situation where our life expectancy is going down from previous generations, or we're going to be in a situation where the planet is going to be completely unlivable for human beings. And there are.
Which is what a lot of us here see, that follow this heavy duty climate science. However, that being said, what you're talking about here has excited everybody in the chat because no matter to the last dying breath, something someone can try to do as long as it's not going to be more destruction. And you've been illustrating that.
You know what? There's tons of things. There's tons of things going on. So, I know that there's a lot of, and I talk about this on Twitter a lot. I say, hey, tweets are cheap. Actions are louder than tweets, right? If you're on Twitter all day and you're just reading what's going on, it's absolutely going to drive you crazy. So I look for positive information. I look for things that are going on. So obviously there's a lot that's bad that's going on, but there's also things that are good, right? They're developing electric planes. There's rails that are completely electric. Like there's alternatives for, we can have carbon free transportation. We can do it. There's 4Ocean. I love 4Ocean. They're cleaning the ocean. There's the Ocean Conservatory, ocean cleanup, right? So they're cleaning the ocean. There's a plastic company, I don't remember which one, but there was one company that said, we're going to take all the plastic that's on the planet. I'm sure they're full of it, but they're going to do something. But they're looking to clean up all the plastic so that they could use that for new plastic. There's a lot of um, there's a lot of companies that are planting trees. You got 8 million trees is the one that I donate to, but then you also have what's going on in Africa. They're building that great wall of trees. So I don't know how they're doing it. So sometimes you may read the story that says, hey, this land is turning into a desert. And that's very depressing, especially if you read it after the article that says, hey, the ice caps are melting. But there's also the articles out there that they're saying, hey, we're able to use hemp, or we're able to use regenerative farming to restore these areas. So I look for that information. So there's always going to be those people. And some of these things, like the one link, there's the plant-based treaty, that's global. There's the plastic treaty, that's global. Extinction Rebellion, global. So there's tons of people. So, unfortunately, a lot of boomers, or I hate that term, but, I think younger people are much more open to, say, socialism or new ideas, eco-socialism. So really, we need this shift to happen. We need for Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein, Joe Biden, we need them gone.
Get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out of
Get
here,
the
right?
fuck
We
out.
need young people to do things, but there's a lot of programs. There's a lot of technology, and there's a lot of people that are still trying to
But we don't want young people like Madison Cawthorn. Blah.
So I believe that absolutely we have to save mankind, and that's really the gravity of the situation. A lot of people don't necessarily want to admit it, but absolutely we need to stop ourselves. We need to stop burning fossil fuels, and we need to stand up to the people that developed these stupid ass systems. But it's getting to the point where they can't deny it anymore. Like, a lot of people think capitalism is falling, or the American empire is falling, and it may be, right? But there's they can't deny it. So now it's to the point. So one of the things that I'm working on is trying to get Republicans on board with climate change, because I don't know if I know that I went down the GMO, right? Listen, I went down the GMO wormhole. And some people are very passionate about their health and what's getting into their body. And I appreciate that. So now plastic is found everywhere, right? So I'm pretty sure the Republicans that are concerned about GMOs, or they're concerned about different types of things, are gonna want to get rid of plastic, because it's now affecting them. They can't deny it anymore. It's in their system. You know what I'm saying? So it's hitting a head.
Well, this has been wonderful. There's been the chat's going. We've had a really nice night. I can't believe that this hour and 18 minutes has gone so fast. I have enjoyed this so much. It was really good. We really, really needed a breath of fresh air. Climate Marcher John says, are you taking an entrepreneurial approach or considering it?
So I don't have capital for something like that. So I really only recently came to the realization that that's what's missing is, funding. So I'm really just trying to spread information and advocate for it and kind of really see where it goes, but I don't have the capital for that.
Yeah, it's hard. Well, Jim, I will hook you up with Jim. Great show, Sandy and Brian. Tanya was cooking and enjoying the show the whole time. Also, that's his wife. They were here this summer. You see what we've created this beautiful thing with other channels, other people, and they came and visited me this year. And I'm, you want to come camping? Come on up this summer.
We'll be in touch. Are you going to have me back? Even though.
Absolutely. You're going to get a headset.
The cracks. I got to get a headset to come back.
And all of a sudden it sounds better now for some reason. Once I put the...
Yeah.
because
I
if
got a
you're going to
headset.
talk, it is, I'll help you.
We'll
I
get
will
it
take
together.
you. I will take you
You know,
under my
I
wing.
appreciate you all listening to me, because very often sometimes I start talking and then people look at me like I'm crazy.
You're not
so I
crazy.
appreciate you guys listening to me.
No, this was what we needed tonight.
No,
This
'cause
is
you
what we
guys
needed.
are-
Everybody
you guys are
loved it.
informed.
Oh, Melanie wants to come visit from New Jersey.
Hi, Melanie.
Hi, she's from New Jersey. Yep.
Are you
Melanie?
from New Jersey?
Yeah, she is. She said that earlier. Yep, she's from
What
Jersey.
exit?
What exit?
What exit?
Melanie, was Melanie the one that said she was from where there was, no, that was Steph. Steph had, yeah. And she says, Steph has, she said, so many petroleum refineries, how can we lobby to convert them to use hemp? Is this even possible? Oh boy. These are overwhelming,
Well, that's
but
a
you're
great
starting.
question.
Yeah, it is. But you're
That's a
starting
great
to hook
question.
up with the people.
Well, good, because something's got to change.
You're in the
Things
right
gotta
group
change.
here. We are all crazy
Right.
like you, Brian. So
Yes.
we love
Tiger
you.
Dharma. Sweet.
I feel this is, I have to say thank you to Lana for hooking us up like this, because this is great. This is great.
Lana's cool.
Yeah, you rock.
Yes.
All right.
Thank
well, listen.
you.
Oh, Betty Loco's here. She's a hemp activist, actually cannabis activist. Exit 109, she said, but she lived off many exits. This
Betty
is awesome.
Loco. Don't
Betty
you know I'm
Loco.
Loco?
Yeah, she's awesome. She has a channel too. And Bella, it's okay, Bella. It's great to see you. We needed some smiles tonight. And you know what? You gave us the smiles. And yes, we know how serious everything is. And we know that, maybe smiles aren't always going to last long. But tonight, we got them.
Sweet. Well, tonight we smile. And then next time you're feeling down, just remember to stick it to the man as much as you can before you go anyway.
Stick it to the man. Well, I guess ending with some of us being boomers, that we tried to stick it to the man. I was a little bit too young to do the 60s stick it to the man, but And Trulia says thank you, and Kay. All right, guys. Well, thank you.
Thanks,
me do
Trulia.
a little plug for Sunday. Sunday at 6 Eastern, I have a State of the Planet with Antonio and Nicholas and Jennifer. So we're going to do our State of the Planet, and we will be, Nicholas is doing, this is my team. Nicholas is doing a PhD in emergency management, so he's a meteorologist at this time, and Antonio is he's an activist in many ways, and he's actually very young. He's the youngest. I think he's the youngest, like, doomer there is. But definitely, you're here, and I'm gonna be hooking you up with others as well.
Cool. Very good.
right.
I'm excited for it.
All
Thanks
right,
for
guys.
having me. Take care.
It was wonderful. You don't have to hang up yet, but I mean, whatever. Don't go. I love you guys. See you on Sunday. Thank you very much. And don't forget, I always have to do my last minute thing. All right. Love you guys.